Kat Sajak denounces those darn environmental racists.
eBay's been hacked, so you better hurry up and get those Beanie Babies you've been wanting.
Will Smith is being investigated by CPS because now only the government can protect his kids from his shitty movies. What about the rest of us?
And you too can have a cameo in J.J. Abrams' new Star Wars movie. Just look for yourself behind all the lens flare.
And we will discuss none of this next on Unholy Matrimony.
So did you ever skip school when you were in high school?
So the only official, like, are we talking all day?
Oh, any time, really.
Oh, well, yeah. I did a few times, like a couple periods here and there. But I did skip my entire last day of school when I was transitioning from Fife to Auburn. So my freshman year, the whole last day of school.
Yeah, that's the last day of school. Who the fuck goes to the last day of school?
We did.
I never went to the fucking last day. They were lucky if they could get me there the last 3 days. I was like, nope, I'm done. Close enough.
I was one of those nerds that was always like, sign my yearbook.
Well, we were poor, so I never got a fucking yearbook.
Oh,
way to make me feel bad about my upbringing.
If it makes you feel better, all my yearbooks got destroyed in a flood.
No, they didn't, because there's a hope chest right here in front of us that has several in it.
Oh, yeah, but I think a couple of those are Richie's, and one was from Fife and stuff like that, but the important, yearbooks from Auburn Riverside, I think I only have one.
I don't know about that. I think you're trying to, play off the fact that you made fun of me for being poor because I couldn't get a yearbook. So when I was in high school, we lived on, it was really weird. There was a main street that runs right through the middle of Auburn. It's called Auburn Way. And that's what determines the line of what school you went to. Whether it be Auburn Riverside, where I went, or Auburn High School. And I actually only lived probably about a 10, 15-minute walk at the most away from Auburn High. Yet they sent me all the way across town to Auburn Riverside just because I happen to live on this one side of Auburn Way. And so it was kind of a journey to get to school every day. So what we'd have to do is walk a good 20 minutes from our house to the middle school, Olympic Middle School, where we would catch a bus that then would take us the rest of the way to the high school. Well, some days, me and my buddy Marcus, who you can hear on Lost in America along with myself, one of our podcasts on the CPN Podcast Network, we would, we'd like to, I don't know, we'd get high. Well, we'll put it that way. We'd get a little...
I was like, don't sugarcoat it.
We get a little stoned on the way to school, right? So, and then we'd be halfway to the middle school to catch the bus, and we'd be like, you know what? Fuck that. Let's just walk to school today. And it became like a reoccurring theme where we were doing this a few times a week. And what we'd do is we just, we'd pick a different path each day. And we would, venture, we've never gone down this street. So we'd go down this way. Hey, let's just, take the river, walk the river all the way down there. And, all points kind of met, at the same place, or all directions met at the same point, I should say. And, we would, it would come out right at the bridge that goes along the backside of, the way to get to the school. And if you, when you got there, you would then take a trail through the woods that would lead into a park that, was opposite of the high school. Well, this one day we decided to take this, extra long route. And it's funny, I think this might have been the same day. We stopped off there's this big park in the middle of town called Game Farm.
Drug Farm.
Rape Farm.
Rape Farm, yeah.
We decided to stop off there. We were out of we didn't have any weed, but we decided we were going to scrape our pipes. Take our sit down because there's like a little amphitheater area. We sat on the stairs and we were sitting there scraping our pipes. Get some resin together. Because we were fucking kids. And as we were doing that, it was kind of like, I don't remember if it was me or Marcus, just kind of glanced over our shoulder, and there's this little like where the little trail leads to the amphitheater area. There's this trees, and beyond the trees, there was a fucking police cruiser just parked there, watching us. They had to have been like not even like 20 feet away from us.
And they were watching you actively.
Oh yeah. So I was like, oh shit. So like, luckily we hadn't started smoking yet, so we just kind of like gathered our shit together and like continued on our way. And so we decided to take this long way down the river path. And so by the time we got to the park that's adjacent to the school, we were pretty fucking late. Because we used to like to try to show up about fourth period, because then you could take all 3 lunches and then just go to fifth and sixth and go home. But at this time we were going to show up like after the lunches, so we were like, oh man, like we weren't supposed to like be late like this again anyway, and here we are fucking showing up hella late. And so we devised a plan, and the plan was like, okay, so what if one of us had maybe slipped and hurt their ankle. And so that's why it took so fucking long for us to get to school. And so in our brilliant fucking minds, we formed this plan to where we would say that, Marcus had hurt his ankle. Well, we didn't just like, oh no, pretending that he hurt his ankle was not enough. It was not enough.
I was just going to ask if you were going to be as retarded as that. Is to be like, pretending isn't good enough. Marcus, let's fuck up your ankle. Are you serious?
Yes. And so what we did is he sat on a picnic table, with on the tabletop itself with his foot on the seat area.
Oh wow.
And I took a textbook and repeatedly slammed it into his ankle, basically trying to hobble him. It was like fucking
Kathy
misery.
Bates is sitting there somewhere. Slow clap.
And it worked. He limped into school that day, but it really served no purpose.
Oh, that's so funny. I love that park though. I was familiar with that park and that bridge, because that's where we would go. All those smokers would go. It wasn't on school grounds if you were standing on the bridge, and so every morning and then during lunches and after school, you would see these big groups of kids all on the bridge, and it's just nothing but like a fucking cloud of smoke above them. And really, there wasn't a whole lot that anybody could do. We had school, the campus cops. There's Tucker, was the most...
tell me a little bit about Tucker.
I knew it was going there.
You brought it up.
I have a couple of funny Tucker stories. Tucker was a school cop. But our school cops, they're actual police officers. And for those of you who don't know, my dad is an Auburn police officer. And
has been for what, 30 years?
35 years.
35 years.
Yeah. And been in Auburn for 30 of those or something like that. Something crazy. So, here in town, he's a police officer. I have not had to name drop him yet for a ticket. Jeremy has.
Yeah, worked like a charm, too.
Yeah. So I have not had to do that because I'm a good driver. But, but it was kind of, it was a blessing and a curse when we were kids. Luckily my dad was one of those cool cops. He wasn't like, your kids, your friend smokes pot, they can't hang out. He'd be like, just don't get caught. Don't do it around me, type of thing. He was really cool. But, so Tucker he worked with my dad at Auburn PD. He was also our school cop. And there was one day, my mom had, I guess, stayed up all night or something like that. We were maybe similar to yours, but we were actually waiver kids. We used to go to the Fife School District, and we moved. So we were in unincorporated King County.
No, I wasn't a waiver.
No, what I mean, as far as distance goes, we had a ways to go.
I gotcha.
Yeah. So, we weren't nearby the school. My mom had to drive us because there weren't even buses that, came up there because we were waiver kids. So my mom would drive us to school, and then she was supposed to come pick us up. But a lot of times she was a night owl. And so in order to be awake to take us to school in the mornings, she would just stay up all night and then try and sleep during the day when all the kids were gone. And that worked for the most part. But there were some days where she just would sleep in. And this was back before all kids had fucking cell phones and shit like that, where they can just call whatever. All we had was a payphone. And so it was a lot of like collect calls, trying to get a hold of her and wake her up. And if that didn't work, we were just kind of fucked. So one afternoon we're waiting to go home from school. It was me and Becca, and
that's her sister,
my sister. And we're sitting there, and Tucker comes up, and he was just kind of like doing his patrol after school. And he's like, "What are you guys still doing here?" It was like 4:30. And we're like, "Oh, well, we can't get a hold of Mom. She's like sleeping or something." And he was like, "Oh, well, I'm just about done here. Do you want to ride home?" And of course, because he knows my dad. So he's like, "Let's give you guys a ride home." It's like, sure. So I hopped in the front seat. Becca hopped in the back. And now let me just preface this. Okay. So at the time, Tucker had, the cop mustache, the cop stash.
Yeah.
A lot of
solo
cops
stash. Yeah.
Yes. And so did my dad. They looked a lot alike. Tucker's younger, but they looked a lot alike. So we get in the car, and he drives us all the way home. We give him directions. We get into the driveway, and without thinking, I take off my seatbelt, and I leaned toward the driver's side, because with my dad, he would drop us off, and I'd lean over and give him a kiss on the cheek and be like, "Bye, Daddy," and get out of the car. So I was in a cop car that I was normal. I was used to being in cop cars, in with a cop with a solo stash that looks a lot like my dad. Again, I'm used to this. So without thinking, I leaned toward him as if I'm going to give him a kiss. And it was that awkward closeness. Like, it was a little too close for even him. He kind of noticed, like, I was like, bye. And I climbed out of the car really quick and really tried to avoid him for the most part. And then, can I tell my other Tucker story?
Go ahead. It's your show.
Oh, no. This one makes me feel like a ninja. I was super proud of this one. So like I said before, I used to go onto that bridge and smoke. We were doing that one lunch, and Tucker came around and caught a bunch of us. So the game was, you would go out there and smoke, hopefully not get caught, because that would ruin how much of your cigarette you actually got to smoke. He comes over and he's like, "Hey, you guys," and he was, riding on his bicycle, and he catches us, and we're like, "Oh shit." And we go tearing off. It was a nice sunny day. I was not wearing my jacket, but I had this well-known flannel, like it was a brown flannel coat type thing. And I had really long hair. So what I did, because I knew he recognized me. He saw all of us. I knew he knew that I was in that crowd. And I was like, "Oh shit." I was, as much as I skipped, and as much as I did anything that any other normal teenage kid did, I didn't get caught ever. And I wanted to keep it that way. So I booked it, and I went running off. So the first thing I did was I took my jacket out, because I wasn't wearing it when I was smoking. I took my jacket out and I put it on, and then I put my hair up in a ponytail, and we ran up into the line for pizza. And I was like, this isn't going to work. He's going to catch me. And he comes running down the hallway, because he literally chased us. And he came running down the hallway, and it was almost movie-like. He stopped right by the pizza line where we were standing there, kind of did this like look around his shoulders type thing, from side to side, like, where'd those damn kids go? And then took off in another direction again. And I was like, it worked just like it does in the movies. That shit's great. But yeah.
I don't know. I thought it would be kind of funny if the story ended up with you in handcuffs.
No.
Which is, just my way of, a shitty segue to be like, I was actually in handcuffs by Officer Tucker when I was 13 years old. So there's this one kid. I'm going to not name him. He's a total jackass. He knows who he is. He actually unfriended me on Facebook semi-recently because this is fucking great. I was making fun of the movie Grown Ups 2.
Yes.
The Adam Sandler, Kevin James movie.
That great epic film.
Yes, I was making fun of the movie. One of his friends got all fucking butthurt about it on Facebook, and he proceeded to then delete me over it. And this is the second time he's deleted me. It was a very similar situation the first time.
And this is a dude that we see around town quite frequently.
Yes.
So Jeremy's constantly like in the same places as him. And it's just very awkward. Like he refuses to even look in Jeremy's direction.
Yeah, he'll see me, then he'll like put his head down. It's fucking funny. It's pretty good. It's good times.
Yeah.
Anyway, so said jackass, he used to run off at the mouth a lot. I mean, he was a really dorky looking kid, right? And he used to run off at the mouth to the wrong fucking people, and he made a lot of enemies. And I happen to be friends with a lot of those said enemies. And one day, he got his ass kicked after school, and I happened to be there, standing on the sidelines. But while this was all happening, there was a person who lived across the street from the school who was watching all this, and they ID'd me as being there. They then went to, the said jackass's house, when they were filing the police report, and, said, well, there was a witness who said that, somebody fitting this description, who's that? And it's like, oh, that's Jeremy. He lives across the street.
Oh.
And so he comes across the street. He was really trying to scare me because he had nothing on me, really. Just the somebody ID'd me as being
Somebody's
there.
Random ID, yeah.
Yeah, I didn't actually take a swing at him or anything like that, so they didn't, have anything on me. But he was trying to scare me into a confession or to give it to my friends. I don't know. And so he read me my rights, put me in cuffs. And it was just that moment that my stepdad came home from work. And he saw this going on and threw a fucking fit. And he was like, so, what's he being, charged with? What's he accused of? And I'm like, oh, and he totally backed down at that time. He took me out of the cuffs. I don't even remember how the conversation ended. He was just like, okay, bye. Okay, so if you've seen the Scream movies, fucking Officer Dewey.
Yes.
Or
Dooley
or whatever.
Yeah.
In fucking Scary Movie, they parodied him as Doofy. He kind of looked like him.
A little bit
like him. And that's pretty much my memory of him. Whenever I picture in my head, I think of fucking goddamn David Arquette with a fucking cum catcher mustache. And I know that that David Arquette reference is gonna really cheer up a lot of people out there. They're gonna go fucking crazy over it. That's an inside joke for everybody.
Inside joke for the wrestling listeners.
Anyway, so fuck Officer Tucker.
Oh, I have some nice memories of Tucker too. He was a nice guy.
He was a bastard.
He was not a bastard. He was a nice guy. And then who was the old guy that took his place?
Dawson.
Dawson was cool too.
Dawson was cool.
Dawson would watch us skip. Yeah. And he'd be like, fuck it, I'm old. You go.
When I was in high school, I was on the newspaper staff. And I got to do a ride-along with him, for an entire school day. And interview him for the paper. And he was a really nice guy. It was kind of cool. He told me, basically his entire life story. He wanted to be a preacher. And that was his, his goal in life. And then one day, he took a turn and decided to become a police officer. And anyway, so I'm driving around town, riding along with him, going around town, and we get a call. And it takes us out to, there's this park that's next to our public library here in town. And there was an abandoned car in the middle of the park, had driven up onto the grass, got stuck, and was abandoned. Well, it turns out that this car was involved in a shooting 3 towns away. And so I got to stand in the middle of a crime scene watching them kind of do their work and stuff. It was kind of cool.
Yeah, I love ride-alongs. They're fun.
But yeah. So Tucker's a dick.
He's not a dick.
And kids, don't skip school.
Or skip, because it's fun.
Something's coming over me. My baby's got a secret.
All right, so this week for Secret Origins, we're going to do something a little bit different. Instead of sharing something about myself or about Jeremy, we are actually going to introduce you guys to our friend Josh Presley, and he's got a story that not a lot of people know about him that he decided to share with us. So enjoy.
Are you still willing to tell us a little story for
Secret Origins?
Yeah.
Am I gonna get a
Yeah.
boner?
I don't know. You might if you're into like potential child molestation.
Oh no.
All right, so I might.
All right. Well, when I was a little kid, our family lived in Grand Island, Nebraska. It's a smaller town in the middle of the state, and there was this grocery store there called Skagway. We would go there, to go shopping and everything. It was kind of like a mini Walmart, where they had like other stuff besides groceries. They had like toys and stuff like that. So I would wander off and go look at the toys and shit. And they had this guy in a bear costume that worked there that would go around, I guess, like handing out candy and shit. And one day we're in the store. I'm by myself on one of the aisles looking at some kind of G.I. Joe, whatever bullshit I was into at the time. And the bear comes up to me. And I'm a little kid, so I'm scared to death of this motherfucker. So like, I take off the other way. This motherfucker starts chasing me.
What?
He started chasing me throughout the store, man.
Just
Like,
a random guy in a bear costume?
yeah. And so yeah, he's chasing me, and I'm going from aisle to aisle trying to lose the bear, and I finally lose it, right? I'm like, all right, I lost him, and I was trying to find my mom.
I need an adult.
Yeah, I needed an adult back. And so I'm trying to find my mom and get back to the rest of my family, and something else distracts me. So I'm looking at that real quick. I stop for a moment, and I feel this tap on my shoulder. I'm thinking maybe it's my mom or whatever. So I turn around, and it's the motherfucking bear.
Oh.
Man.
What?
It found me. And at that point, I just lost my shit and ran. And I got screaming and
Oh,
made a scene. And I finally found my family. I told my mom about it, and they just kind of laughed because that's what they do. They're assholes. But
Oh.
yeah, I was almost raped by a fully grown man in a bear costume in a grocery store when I was like 7.
So you want to hear something funny about that? I had no idea that that's what the story was, but when I was 7, and so it wasn't as horrifying because it was actually Halloween. But when I was 7 on Halloween, we went into this grocery store after we were done trick or treating, and a lot of times the grocery stores would have candy too to hand out.
Right.
Well, they had this dude in a big ass Captain Crunch outfit. And like one of those, kind of like the Big Bear. And he came up and wanted to give us hugs. And like my brother hugged him, my sister hugged him. I'm like, nope, no, nope. And I started walking away, and then he started chasing me. Like he chased me down a few aisles wanting to give me a hug. And it, pretty much terrified me as well. And my parents laughed it off also. They thought that it was funny shit. But it wasn't, I don't think that that's as rapey because it was Halloween. So, but yeah. that's funny.
And the funny thing is like I went back to Grand Island a couple of years ago for our state fair back in Grand Island, and I was like, I'm gonna stop into this fucking store and see if this bear's in here, man. If he is, I'm gonna kick his ass. And I'm sure it's a completely different guy by now, but fuck it,
it's the costume that did it.
Yeah.
costume that did it, And so I'm like, I'm in the store and looking around, and I don't see the bear. Everything else looks familiar, but I don't see the bear. And so finally, I was just like, fuck it. So I grabbed a Red Bull. I was paying for it. And the cashier was like saying something like, "Oh, how you doing today?" Or whatever the fuck cashiers say. And I'm like, "Hey, do you guys have a guy in a bear suit that works here?" And she's like, "Yeah, we do, but he's off today." And I'm like, "You motherfucker!"
So they're still actively terrorizing children in the store.
So there's still a chance you
guess
could go
so.
kick his ass.
Yeah. I'm sensing
if I
a road
ever
trip.
if I ever go back to that shithole city again, then yeah, I definitely would.
And you're totally gonna get this on video so we can put it up on YouTube.
We have to see you beating up a guy in a bear costume.
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, please film your assault.
Don't film it. Yeah.
You won't go to jail or anything.
Just wear a mask.
No. I'll just wear my own bear costume.
Like Winnie the Pooh.
Oh, yeah. Oh, God, that would be so great. Like walking into the store, and this guy has no idea, and you walk into the store in your own bear costume, and you, like, fucking challenge him to a bear off, and you just, like, fucking start throwing blows at him. Oh, that'd be hilarious.
Or he can go to LA and find some big hairy gay men and blow those bears.
Blow that. Yeah, there you go.
You are kind of a twink.
Oh.
Well, I don't have a comeback for that.
Oh.
Well, I'd fuck you. I'll be your teddy bear.
The not so funny thing about that store. Also, that's not the only almost rape experience I've had there.
What?
What is going on with that store?
Yeah.
Was it a cat costume this time?
No, this time it was sorry, truck just went by. I'm outside. No, this time it was an old man, and I was in the bathroom, and I finished, washing my hands and everything, like a good little boy. And this old man comes in, and I'm about to leave, and he's just like, "Hold on," and I'm like, "Okay." And this motherfucker reaches down into his pants, not from a pocket or anything, and pulls out, like, I don't know if you guys have it there, but the Brock's bulk candies. He's just got a bunch of them stuffed down his pants.
Gross.
Pulled out his hands. I'm like, okay. And he starts piling these candies into my hands, and I was just freaked out, man. And I didn't really know what to do, so I went and I put the candies back in the candy bin in the store.
Oh, no.
And I went and found my mom, and I'm like, we need to go.
Somebody got old man puke candies.
The only thing that would make that better is if he was to take out these handfuls of candy out of his pants and then begin to individually slide them into your pants pocket
Or
one by one.
Unwrap them and put them in your mouth.
That too. Oh.
No, truly though, that's horrifying.
Yeah, not to laugh at you almost getting raped by an old man.
Yeah, that's a little creepy. I'm sorry that happened to you.
And a bear.
And a bear.
I'm not so sorry about that one because that was just pure gold.
Yeah. But yeah, I still get made fun of the bear thing. My sister won't let me live it down. If you scroll down on my Facebook wall, you'll see various bear images and her laughing and yeah.
So what you're trying to say is that we need to Google a bunch of pics of bears and post them on your wall like people do with me and spiders.
Or I used to do with Brett and Chucky.
I'm actually not saying that, but you guys are gonna probably do it anyway. So
only because we love you.
Oh.
just turn image blocker on Facebook.
Oh. That's no fun.
No more stalking sluts for me.
Well, don't say that. It's your hobby.
I know, you guys are just ruining my life.
Oh.
It's a major inconvenience.
Ruining your life.
Not ponytails or cottontails, no
Faptales.
Woo!
It's that time once again where you get to hear a sexy masturbation story for the low, low, low price of $97. Yeah, you heard me, $97. That sale's over. That shit wasn't gonna last forever, bitches. What do you think I fucking am? A sucker?
It's worth it.
$97. You can PayPal it to me. You can put it in a bottle and send it down the river. You can have your nephew drive it up from Southern California or wherever the fuck you're listening to this. Just give me my fucking money. This ain't no game. Alright. Now it's time to hear a story.
All right. So this one's coming from Michael.
Are these the lights dim? I'm just gonna go through the checklist right now.
Okay.
Are the lights dim?
No, they are not. Oh.
That's one. All right, lights are dim.
All right. So this one's coming from Michael Learman.
Number 2 on the checklist.
No.
Is the music playing?
No.
All right.
All right. Can I go now, Daddy?
Once I fucking push play. Push in play.
All right. So this one's coming to us from Michael Learman. So I guess I will share my story about the first time jerking. The one that comes to mind the earliest is one night I was watching Showtime and some interesting stuff came on and I just started jacking off. And then I was like, there has to be something better. Ta-da! Scrambled Cinemax that wasn't terribly scrambled. That gave me some hours of fun, and then after a while, I went back to Showtime when better stuff was on, and that channel wasn't scrambled, so it was all clear. After a while jerking to the 2 channels, I got tired and passed out. Next morning, I woke up downstairs on the couch, tuned on the TV, and music videos were on, and one was Britney Spears, and I jerked to that as well. So yeah, not too thrilling of a story, but one that I remembered as my first experience. I like it.
$97.
$97.
Nothing less. 97 motherfucking dollars. Give me that shit. Alright. May has come to a close, and so has Faptales. This is going to be the final story that you can purchase for the low, low price of $97.67. That's right, it went up 67 cents because it's the last one. Because May's over, and it's no longer be masturbation month. I mean, you can still play with your pickle and everything, but we're just not going to be reading your stories to help facilitate this act. Alright, you ready to read this?
I am.
I'm going to throw you a bone. Lights are already dim.
Ooh.
And I'm pushing play.
Nice. Alright, so this one's coming from Elvis. I was about 12 years old, sitting in my bedroom watching Power Rangers, when I noticed that every time Tommy was on the screen, I would get a very strange feeling in my penis. I didn't know what to make of this, so I just ignored it at first. But the more ass the Green Ranger kicked, the harder I could feel my rod getting, so I pulled it out to look at it. Well, about that time, a commercial came on, and I was going to get up and get some falafel and dates when the blanket brushed against my tool. It felt amazing and kind of surprised me, so I wondered what would happen if I rubbed it some more. I started rubbing my joint on the blanket more, and it kept getting even harder and feeling even better. About this time, my show came back on, and of course there was another scene with the Green Ranger. I noticed between the rubbing of my penis on the blanket and the images of Jason David Frank's taut body on the screen, I was getting even more excited than before. At this point, I decided I would grip my penis with my fist as my young brain decided to seem that this was a decent approximation of a man's asshole. As you can imagine, that made it feel even better than before, and soon I started feeling like I was close to something happening, and then I couldn't help myself. Out of nowhere, I screamed, "Ay!
Durka, Muhammad Jihad!"
and felt an amazing rush as some strange white goo shot out of my penis.
That shit was hot, right?
Ooh, yeah, that was hot.
Got all homosexual. Which is kind of weird because I'm not used to getting bonus for dudes.
Don't lie.
Okay, maybe just one time. Have a one time. Just once. Just once. Anyway, this is the end of the Faptales. As May has now come to a close, as I said before. But, feel free to PayPal me all the money you wish. $97, $127, $567.32. I don't care. Just give me the money. It's been real. As in real good. Taking your goddamn money. Well, now it's time for the Dirty Domains of the Week. These domains can be purchased by you online. Coming in at number 5, comeinmyeye.com. At number 4, clitnoodle.com. Coming in at number 3, cumbubbledonkeysluts.com. And at number 2, my dick is shaped like Yoda.com. Alright, and now it's time for your number 1 Dirty Domain of the Week. Drum roll, please. Eat my ass and call me tofu.com. That's right, you can purchase these domains right now at your local online retailer. So a couple weeks ago, we came across a couple new shows on Twitter. One is called Hesh, the other the Aku and Rez Show. Both of them, we listened to pretty much all their episodes. Mm-hmm. I think there's a couple we still have to get to. Sorry, we're fucking busy. But no, both of them, they're great shows. They are now, you can now find them at couchpotatonation.com. So yeah, check them out. And I'm sorry that I didn't plug them last week. And speaking of plugs, Bethany, you're going to be on the Dark Main Event again this week, right?
That's right. Provided Dark Main Event airs.
Looking at you, Steve. I'm just saying. You can like selfie Instagram yourself all you want.
Have hot sex with your girlfriend.
With your flat brimmed hat and a sticker on it.
Make some time for your show.
Yeah, you have listeners.
We're waiting.
Like there's like 2 of them in this room right now.
Yeah. No, so Dark Main Event, when it airs, it'll air on Blog Talk Radio Wednesdays at noon, Pacific Standard Time. So check that out. It's a good show. The segment I do on it is Girl Meets Wrestling. You can listen to that. It's just a casual girl's take on the wrestling biz, and they'll give me a match and I critique it. Yes,
it's kind of cool because she gets to watch these matches that I haven't seen in fucking years.
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's kind of cool. I get to like give her backstories and stuff like that, and put a little knowledge in her fucking stupid female brain, so then she could go onto this show and give her analysis of these matches,
which is mostly about their outfits.
Yeah, like boots and boots and boots and hair flips,
and sometimes tiger snuggies.
Tiger snuggies, yes. You can find all that on Dark Main Event, and you can hear that exclusively at couchpotatonation.com.
All right, this week on What the Fuck Did I Just Watch, we have a submission that came to us from a Facebook message thread that was done on Couch Potato Nation. What we did was we had a lot of you guys put in movie suggestions for bad movies for us to review, and we had a pretty damn good response to it. And so we wrote down all the names on pieces of paper, we stuck them in a bowl, mixed it around, and blindly chose one. So this is completely at random. And this week's submission is actually coming from Michael Learman, and it's Teeth. The movie is called Teeth. So
why don't you tell them a little bit about what this, give them a general idea what the movie's about.
So Teeth, the general consensus, it's no secret whatsoever, even in the when you see like a teaser and they talk about what the movie's about, no secret whatsoever. So it's about a girl whose vagina has teeth in it. So she has to grow up and live in a world where her vagina has teeth and has the potential of biting off penises. So
yeah, that's a little foreshadowing there on her part. So why don't you go ahead and begin their journey into this twisted fucking movie.
So we start the movie and she's about 4. And she's in a pool with...
And her name is Dawn, by the way.
Her name is Dawn. And she's in a pool, like one of those little kiddie pools out in the front lawn, with this little kid, this little boy. And it turns out it's Brad. And what it is Dawn's mom and Brad's dad are going to get married. They're together. And so they're going to be stepbrother, stepsister. And Brad is really pissed at the idea. He doesn't like this little girl. He doesn't want to play with her. He doesn't want her to be part of the family. He's just a little shit. And he's just at one point he was like, "No, Dad, you're an asshole," or something like that. And the dad got up to, like, rightfully so, like, smack the shit out of him. And the girlfriend was like, No. He's allowed. It's okay. Sit down. Like, totally allowing this kind of behavior. Anyway, so the kids are playing in the pool and you see him, like, kind of look at her, and it's all from, like, the neck up, her shoulders up. But he looks at her, and you could see he's, like, messing around down below. And he's like, "Okay, there. Now show me yours." And so she just kind of looks at him, and she does. And
they cut back to the parents at this point. And, they're a little chit-chat, talking. And then you just hear this fucking scream coming from the little boy in the pool. And, the parents are, all alarmed. They run out to see what's going on. And he's just holding up his finger, and it has this little bite mark on the end of it. That's right. He stuck his fucking finger in the little girl's vagina.
Yeah.
And it bit him. And this is the first fucking 5 minutes of the movie.
Yeah.
And so I was hooked.
Yeah, we knew we were going to love it.
But after that, it fast forwards to the high school years of these two. And it comes into a scene where it's at like an abstinence seminar. Like some kind of like group. They're pledging.
They have the purity rings.
Purity,
and all that shit.
Those fuckers.
Yeah.
Stupid people. Like, cumming's fun, guys. It really is. Have you not heard our show? It's fun. But anyway, so we're at the seminar, and lo and behold, it's hosted by a grown-up Dawn. You know, the girl with the weed whacker between her legs. And I couldn't think of a better person to be a spokesperson for this shit.
Right.
like I was ready to, like, born again virgin. You know?
Well, and it turns out that it was, you know, you see later on that was apparently her first time speaking about it. Like, she's a huge abstinence advocate, but that was her first time speaking on it. And she did it because she wanted to get the attention of her crush, right? And we'll get into that later. But after she's done speaking, some other older dude, I don't know if he's like another teacher at the school or what.
It cuts to because that was the girls group.
Yeah.
It cuts down to the boys group who is being. I thought it was.
No, there were boys in her group too.
Oh, that's right, because she was.
She looked at her
I'm
crush in the
retarded
audience.
because she looked at her crush. That is right.
Yes. But so they apparently had multiple speakers, and one of them was this older dude. And he comes on, and they just clip to him for a quick second to show that the abstinence meeting is still going on. And he is saying to the group, using your hand on yourself is not pure. And so he just kept saying that. And I was like, motherfucker, we should invite this guy to our show, or at least listen to it. I kind of want to be like, listen to our show, because masturbation is fun, and it's still May.
It is still May.
So it's still allowed.
Yes. So after this, it cuts to she comes home from school, and we're introduced to now a grown-up Brad, who is played by, I meant to look up the actor's name, but who gives a fuck? Mm-hmm. Brad is played by this guy who is in a show called Nip Tuck. And in the show, he played the son of one of the plastic surgeon, like the main characters. And he was dating at one point in the show a hermaphrodite.
Yes.
Which is played by, what's her name, who's fucking Jean Grey in the X-Men movies.
Yeah. Anyway, she plays, just so you know, Phoenix plays a hermaphrodite. FYI for anybody that doesn't know that.
Yeah.
LOL.
So he goes from being on Nip Tuck, where he's fucking and dating this hermaphrodite, to now he's the dude who tried to put his finger in his sister's penis fly trap at the beginning of the movie. And I thought that was funny. Like, he can't get away with these kind of things. Like, he's gonna be typecast with this shit.
Well, and it was at this point too that Jeremy was getting very intrigued, because you can see this torture on Brad's face. You know, you could tell that this has scarred him, right? This incident that happened when they were kids, and you could see him, and he was he looks at me and he goes, "I'm just saying right now, we need to see this vagina. They better show this fucking vagina." And I just remember freaking out. I was like, "No, we can't see this. I won't get sex for a fucking month if they show that thing. You'll be so traumatized."
We might have to do a countdown. How long it's been. No. So, go ahead and continue.
So he seems traumatized by the finger bite. And I initially thought, well, he's probably never going to try and get laid ever again, right? It did traumatize him. He is smoking a bong with his girlfriend, or just some chick he fucks or whatever, but he only does her anally. So, they show this scene where he's, just pulling out of her butt, and he's, just kind of sitting back, and she, kind of sits up a little bit, and she's like, as she's pulling up her fishnets, I have a perfectly usable vagina.
And I have to interject about something here. So, after he pulls out and he pulls up his pants, he pulls up his pants first, mind you.
Yes.
He then takes a pair of what seems like boxers or something, and he just sticks it down into the front of his pants, and kind of wipes his dick off. He doesn't like, just, he's kind of like rubs it around and then throws it on the bed. Like, I'm pretty sure that's not like proper hygiene after you've just anally fucked your girlfriend. I think it may be like, I don't know, like a fucking, like a wet nap.
Right.
Or something might be better than just sticking like and who does that? Like, I mean, you wipe off your dick after sex. You're gonna like actually like wipe it off before you put your pants on. You don't put your pants on and then stick the fucking rag down the front and then whatever. But go ahead and continue.
And if it couldn't get any weirder, he takes the same now. So in this whole time, he has this beautiful Rottweiler dog. Poor thing is penned up in this kennel type cage thing in the corner, watching the entire thing. But so if it couldn't get any weirder, he takes the same poo particle infested hand that he just wiped off, his dick with boxers with, and he grabs a dog biscuit, and then he leans over to his girlfriend thing, whatever that he's, screwing, and he's like slowly, putting it up against her lips, and he's like trying to be all like seductive with it. And at first she was kind of going along with it, but then he's like kind of pushing it into her mouth, like trying to make her eat it. And eventually she just got disgusted. She was like, "Oh, fuck off," and got up and left. Like, this guy was seriously fucked up by a little vagina finger bite. I'm thinking that he's kind of a pussy at that point.
A little bit.
Man up.
But at the same time, like, my misogynistic part comes out and I was like, yeah, you eat that dog biscuit. Eat the biscuit. Just eat it. Just fucking eat it. Oh. Anyway, so,
and then we get to the point where you start getting more into the backstory with her and this crush guy. And honestly, I don't remember his name. I feel bad. But you could tell that this abstinence thing is killing her. Like, she's got this crush. And at one point, she has this scene where she starts, she's laying in bed, going to sleep, and she starts to masturbate. Or just touch herself anyway, not really
because it's
masturbate.
May, and it's okay.
Yeah, it's okay. But, so she's, trying to resist the urge to masturbate, but she's very excited, and she's touching herself. And they keep showing these images of what she's picturing. And she's picturing that this dude that's her crush is basically having sex with her on their wedding day. Like, you can see him, like, lifting up the bottom of her dress and like going down between her knees and all that stuff. And in the middle of everything, a church choir is playing the scene's music. So like, I'm super aroused and I'm like, yeah, get it. But then they show what's supposed to be her vagina or the monster inside her vagina or something. All I know is that it's like gray and beastly.
It goes,
it did that noise. And I was like, nope, never mind. # purity.
She is now on board with me.
I became abstinent.
Born again virgins. Like, we're gonna be like the shittiest married couple ever now.
Right.
We're gonna get like separate twin beds, like in fucking sitcoms from the 80s, like 70s and 80s. Like, yeah, it's gonna be fucking awesome. 70s, 80s. What am I thinking?
I know. I was like
like
that's
more
50s.
like Brady's Bunch and shit like that. Anyway, they even had one bed. I remember sitcoms, though, that did have... Anyway, fuck that. And so
then after this, she gets really distressed. She couldn't even, like, hardly function at school. She has a bad day at school, can't hardly talk to her crush, because then she's, like, freaking out, doesn't know what's happening. So she runs home, and she's like, you know what? I'm going to confront her brother, Brad, because she could hear Brad basically... I don't know if he's beating on his girlfriend or what's happening, but she can hear him being pretty violent in his room. So she goes in and she's like, listen, Brad, I think that we have to have this talk. I know you don't like me very much and da-da-da-da. And he basically came on to her right then. Like, he was basically like, I
want to fuck my sister.
Yeah, fucking my sister. Yeah. He was like...
Going off fucking Joe Dirt.
Yeah. He was...
Well, they're not blood, so I guess it's okay.
Right. But he said something like, I'm the one for you or something like that. And in my mind, like, that's a keeper. He's like, if at this point, he's the only person that's been impacted by her vagina teeth. And he still wants to be with her. I think that that's a keeper. That's true love.
I know. I think that's psychosis or some shit, because he got bit in the finger. He's scared of vaginas. He only has sex anally with his girlfriend, yet he's still willing to try one more time.
I know.
I'm pretty sure that's insanity.
Or true love. Or the same thing, I guess.
So the next scene, her and her crush, They go swimming down the lake. This is a great scene. But before they jump in, there's this moment where he's like, he imagines her. He says that he imagines her in a two-piece, and so she's wearing this like one-piece fucking like granny fucking bathing suit. He's like, I wish I could see a little bit more.
Yeah, she made it sound way sexy because first she like calls him and she's like, I need to see you, and so he drives out there really quick. She's like, I brought my bathing suit, and he's like, fuck yeah, I'm gonna get some. And so then she like takes off her clothes, and it's this very dowdy one-piece, like doesn't show anything. So that was kind of funny.
Yeah. Well, then she didn't really respond. Instead, she just jumps in the lake, presumably to catch him a fish with her man-eating scissor snatch. Man-eating scissor snatch. I'm telling you. Don't
do it.
Hashtag purity.
Yeah, hashtag purity. But if this isn't like gross, or because you can kind of tell at this point, like he's staring at her as they're swimming in the lake, and there's like a rope swing, and off in the distance there's like this waterfall with this cave and alcove on the inside, and it's rapey, right? And they had already said earlier in the movie that this is where a lot of people like to go and fuck. So it gets grosser and rapier because he's sitting there staring at her swimming. She's like, she's kind of like, have you ever seen that movie Nell?
Oh yes. Trey in the wind, Trey in the wind, skin the belly, Trey in the wind.
She was almost that far gone with her oblivion to him staring at her like a fucking shark in the background. So anyway, she's like happy-go-lucky swimming in this lake, and then she goes through this, this waterfall type thing to this alcove. She climbs up, and she's like, oh, cool, there's, a spot for me to sit. And all of a sudden she starts shivering because I guess the water's super cold and they only just now realized it. And so she jumps up into the alcove. You can tell that it's usually used for sex because there's this like sleeping bag there. And
gross.
Yeah. So anybody, if you, like, I don't know about you, but if I just find a random sleeping bag somewhere, outside or just randomly, and I don't know where it's been, I'm not doing what she did, and that was sitting in it and completely covering herself up in it because she was cold. Fucking gross. So that was nasty, and I was right. It did get rapey. This scene was amazing.
Yeah.
Like, he's first, trying to like kiss her and coerce her, and she's like, purity. And he's like, no, come on. I've been wanting this for so long. And at one point, he's got her on her back, and he's trying to force himself on her. And he was like, I haven't jacked off since April, or some line screams at her.
It was the exact line, yeah.
And bashes her head into some rocks, so she's like almost passed out. So he's like,
well, he didn't like, he wasn't trying to hurt her.
No.
He kind of like shoved on her face a little bit. She had like brought her head up as he moved his hand, and so it like they connected, and then she like hit her head.
You're like trying to justify his rape
No,
move.
because he did. There was a moment there. For a split second, he felt fucking bad.
Yeah.
Then he realized I have an unconscious girl, in front of me, and I haven't jacked off since April.
Yeah.
And it's May. May was masturbation month.
Right? That's bullshit.
He go all May. He went all May.
So he needless to say, he starts removing her bathing suit, or I don't know if he pulled it to the side or what. They didn't really show that part.
Yeah, they did. He kind of he put it to the side.
And he goes inside her, and she's coming to at this point. She's waking up like, what the fuck is going on? She starts freaking out, and then you can hear this like growling noise as it's happening, and the music gets all dramatic, and we're like, oh my god, it's gonna happen. And it does. Like, he starts screaming, and at first he doesn't know what to do. Like, he doesn't know if he should exit her or what. He's just kind of looking at her screaming. He finally pulls out, and she doesn't know what's going on either, mind you. This is like her first, she has no idea what her vagina is capable of. So he pulls out, and he's just screaming, and it's all from the neck up. And we're like, oh my god, show it. And they fucking did. And it's like, there's just this gross, like, stump where his dick was and his groin, and you can see, like, blood all over his balls and shit. It was disgusting.
Yeah, and so he then panics, bends down to pick something up, which we thought he was picking up his dick, and then he dove into the lake to swim away from her. Well, guess what? Swerve. He wasn't picking up his dick. He didn't take his fucking crotch chum. He just left it there. Who the fuck would forget that shit? Like, okay, In that moment, I'd be like, okay, assess the situation. My dick just got bit off.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, there's number 1. Number 2, my dick's there on the ground. Number 3, I gotta get away. So, dick just got bit off, it's on the ground, pick it up, then go away.
Right.
In that order.
Instead, he just kind of stood there screaming and staring at her, like wondering.
He took his shorts.
Yeah, he took his shorts, and then but the way he was looking at her, like, are you related to Lorena Bobbitt? Like, that was kind of the look that he had going on his face, but he didn't take his dick.
No.
I'm kind of weirded out by that.
Okay, so the next scene, she's now like totally freaked out, after losing her #purity, and she takes a school textbook into the bathroom when early in the movie they were in like a sex ed type class, and they had the diagram of a penis. Next page, diagram of a vagina. But the school board had decided that vaginas they cannot be looked at, and so they stuck this big gold sticker like right over the picture so you couldn't see what it was like, but they'd show a male penis, which is fucking retarded. And so she now, after losing her #purity, is sitting in her bathroom soaking this textbook in a sink full of water, trying to get the sticker to peel off. And she's trying, and then she finally did. And so they show it, and it wasn't very detailed, but I still got a boner, because vaginas are way cool.
Yeah. So she's kind of looking through that and everything, and at one point, what really kind of bothers me is that it seems like every movie with a rape scene is immediately followed up by by a shower scene. Like, almost like it's objectifying the victim. Like, oh, you got to see this girl get horribly raped and everything. Now let's have you watch her laying cold and naked on the shower floor. Like, it's kind of, that doesn't help. But anyway, so there was one of those scenes, don't be surprised.
Okay, so I think it was in the very next scene after that. She decided she's going to go to the fucking gynecologist.
But before she did that, before she did that, it was in a scene very much like the Twilight movie that we watched. Oh,
God.
Where Bella researches vampires, right? And she's like going all over the internets. Well, Dawn decides to research vaginas with teeth, presumably ignoring Urban Dictionary, by the way, because I can't imagine that there would be any useful information there. But she finds out that her vagina's powers can only be relinquished by a king cock of some kind. And so right after she reads that, they then show a totem figurine that resembles a dildo. And it's like, to her shock and dismay, she's like, what? I have to put that inside me to relinquish it?
And what was this called?
Vagina dentata. Means vagina with teeth. And that's
toothed vagina.
The toothed vagina.
Yes.
Yes.
So now, like I was saying, she's now in the gynecologist because she's got to get this shit figured out.
Yeah.
Right? And she has to basically like taking her lawnmower to the mechanic. And the doctor he goes all fisty on her. Like, it gets fucking like super rapey very fast because she has no fucking idea. She's never been to a fucking gynecologist, and she doesn't not know what the fuck this guy's about to do. So he lubes up his entire. Well, first he starts out with 2 latex gloves on. He takes one off, and I'm like, oh,
this is getting weird.
Yeah. So then he lubes up that entire fucking hand, and then begins to start to fist her.
He tells her that he's testing out her flexibility.
Yes,
and she buys it.
Yeah, it's like, ooh, you're really tight. Yeah. Anyway, he got most of his fucking fingers into her. But guess what? Spoilers, he doesn't get them back.
Yeah. Gets even funnier. She finds the only OBGYN, by the way, in the area that as he's laying there holding his bloody stump and, freaking out, he looks at her and he's like, it's true, vagina dentata. And that's the last thing she hears as she like slams the door shut and runs away. So like she finds the only one that's on the up and up with, her vagina teeth. So he knew. And I also wrote as a side note, this movie is so rad.
Yeah.
So then throughout the movie, they had been showing this guy kind of like, she didn't really notice him. He wasn't, her crush or anything. He's like this nice guy friend. Didn't catch his name either. But anyway, she doesn't know where to go at this point. She's freaked out. I think at this point her mom was in the hospital or something, and she didn't have anywhere to go. And so she shows up at this guy's house, knocks on his garage, which was apparently his bedroom. And he takes her in. And we're like, oh, but he's the nice guy that's been like trying to get her attention and be sweet and everything, right? Like maybe he's the vagina teeth conqueror. And so we're hoping that he's the romantic in this. So he takes her in and it starts real nice. And he runs her a bubble bath because she's freaking out. And then he comes in and he was like, here, these are what my mom takes for anxiety. And she gets all excited and she takes them, right? Well, it completely fucked her up and drugged her. And then after that, he feeds her champagne to get her drunk on top of that. So he gets her drunk, gets her completely whacked out of her mind, and then uses a finger vibrator, clit stimulator, to basically bring her to orgasm. So she's laying there in this extremely pleasurable, languid state, super happy, and he was actually able to fuck her. Like, the vagina teeth were happy. They didn't come out because he made her happy.
Yeah, she didn't feel like she was in danger this time.
Mm-hmm. So they, he fucks her successfully. That ends badly because apparently he was doing it all on a bet.
Yeah, and then how it ended badly.
So she's straddling him and they're having sex and his phone rings. Now, I don't answer my phone when we're fucking. Like, that's just whoever it is can go back. But he looks at his phone, sees who it is, picks it up, and then he was like, yep. Oh yeah, I'm fucking her right now. And you can't hear the other side of the conversation, but you can tell he's obviously asking for proof. And so he was like, hold on a second. He holds the phone up to her mouth and she's like, what are you doing? And he's like, just say something. And she was like, what are you doing? Who is that? And then he gets back on the phone. He's like, see? And he's like, yeah, I win, bitch, or something like that. And he hangs up the phone. So then she starts to wonder what's up and she gets a little pissed off. He continues to try fucking her because dumbass, I guess.
He doesn't know.
Well, he doesn't know, but that's just rude to do that. You don't continue fucking somebody when they know it's a bet. But so he got his bet.
That's splitting hairs.
Yeah. Hey, long story short, he gets his dick bit off too. So
yeah. So number one, hashtag purity. Number two, if you are gonna have sex, don't make bets on if you can get the pussy, people.
Yeah.
Like, just don't do it. Like, it's just not gonna end good for you.
Yeah. Anyway, the movie ends. Brad is the big bad guy. So it all comes back to fucked up Brad. And she decides that she's going to get revenge on him for something. I don't know, just for being a dick. So she decides to come on to him. She puts on makeup. She's getting all pretty. And she's like, oh, yeah, I've wanted to fuck you for a long time. And all that. So he starts to fuck her. And she starts to be really nice about it. And, she ends up like, as he was, inside or whatever, she locks in on him. And he's looking at her like, what the fuck is going on? Like, and
like he didn't fucking know this was coming.
He knew it was coming, but he thought that he was past it or whatever. And he goes to pull out a little bit and she locked on a little bit more. So he knew that even pulling out, it was going to be even worse.
Yeah. So, in the end, Don's fucking snapping turtle bit fucking Brad's dick off.
Yep.
And then the best part, fucking, it gets spit back out on the floor. And then the fucking Rottweiler from earlier comes up and eats the motherfucking thing. And then only spits out the tip. And the only reason he did that is because he had a fucking, a dick piercing.
Yeah.
And so he spit that shit out, so it's just the fucking head.
Yeah.
And, have fun fucking away with that one, in the ass. Yeah. So,
and then the last scene, she decides to go run away. I don't know what happened with the mom and dad, like why they're not even in the story much anymore, but...
Yeah, they disappeared, the mom had been...
The mom went...
Passed out
she has
movie.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter.
Anyway, they weren't important. But, so she decides to go hitchhiking, and she gets in this car, and they stop at this quickie stop, and she's sitting there like, okay, and, thanks for the ride, and it's this dirty old man. You can tell right away he's dirty. And he starts doing these noises. And she's like, excuse me? And he's like, you get to suck me for my, for your ride. And she starts to try to open the door to leave. And she can't open the door. And he's like, oh yeah. And he's all getting excited. And so at the last scene you see is her getting this really seductive look in her eye. She starts smiling and she leans over toward the guy's dick.
Yeah. So basically in the end, she hitchhikes into the sunset to some old man's dismay.
Yes.
Yeah. And so, what would you give this movie? Your final thought?
My final thought was the way this movie is portrayed. This movie shows you that all men are creepy and want to get in your pants, even your brothers. The last scene, hitchhiking, made me wish that all chicks' vaginas had teeth because rape is bad, people.
And what would you give this?
I would give it a fucking 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5.
It was great.
All right, so my final thought, don't get rapey. I think, well, first off, hashtag purity. Number 2, don't get rapey.
Rape is bad.
Yes. And from now on, I'm going to ask pretty please before any of my wife in fear that she's not in the mood. I give this movie a 4 out of 5. All right, that's going to do it for this week's episode of Unholy Matrimony. Be sure to check out this and all the CPN Network podcasts at couchpotatonation.com.
Make sure to follow us on Twitter at WeThePotato.
We have a YouTube channel. Subscribe to that shit.
And give us a like on our Facebook page. We post episodes as they air.
I am Jeremy for my co-host in life, Bethany, saying later, fuckers.
You've just listened to another fine CPN Network podcast. Thanks for listening.